Lauren Culp, your publisher and CEO at CUInsight.com, and I'm bringing you a 3 questions video interview today with a very special guest. We are joined by Blake Woods, the Senior Advisor for Credit Unions at TransUnion. So excited to have Blake here for this interview. So let's just dive right in. Blake, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Lauren. Excited to do this again.
Yeah, me too. All right. So let's say, I know you've got a lot to talk about today. TransUnion recently published, I know that the Q2 Credit Union Market Perspectives report, so the latest report on that. Are there any interesting trends out of Q2 that you have to report?
Yes. So obviously at TransUnion, we have a ton of data. And one of the things our customers always ask us about are, how are loan originations looking? So folks applying for credit and the credit unions processing those applications, as well as balances. You know, what's going on in those two categories. It's a really nice kind of indicator to understand which products are in demand. And so the report that just was released kind of indicated, I don't think, too surprisingly, both auto and mortgage originations were down. So a little less demand on those two products. And I think if you think about the auto market and some of the chip shortage stories you've been seeing in the news, and then just the price of homes, right? Or even the lack of refinancing with rates going up, no big surprises there. But on the positive side for our lenders, we did see growth in a few different product areas. Card, personal lending was up as well. I think like up 37% or something like that. So it was a very high jump for personal lending. And then also home equity products like home equity line of credit or loans. And when we dug into the home equity, we found some kind of interesting data. Typically, we see a lot of the home equity demand from folks maybe a generation up from us, Lauren, those 40 to 50-year-old consumers, but we actually saw huge growth with being driven by Gen Y and Gen Z consumers, so like first-time home buyers. So I think the trend that we're kind of laying out there for credit unions is make sure when you're targeting these campaigns that you're thinking about those younger consumers, because they're really the ones driving growth right now. And also it kind of makes tools like pre-qualification very important. We know a lot of our younger consumers kind of want to see what they qualify for before hitting that submit button. They're a little more savvy of like their credit score and what the impact could be. So giving them that information up front is always a best practice.
Well, you mentioned younger consumers, Gen Y, Gen Z, maybe driving some of these products forward. I know a lot of credit unions, though, have struggled to reach some of the younger consumers out there. So have you seen anything that you would say top credit unions or top banks or fintechs even are doing to really successfully reach younger consumers?
Yeah, I was just touching on this point. It's so important. We see the fintechs do a great job of this. It's really how they've taken a lot of market share away from banks and credit unions, is allowing consumers without impacting their credit score to see what they qualify for. I don't know about you, but like I hate being told no. It's like this, it's like a stressful situation to apply for credit, right? So to be able to go online and kind of type in a few different factors, or maybe, some personally identifying information, and then right there say, oh yeah, you qualify for an auto loan up to X, or you would qualify for a credit card at this rate. Very important for our younger consumers. And it was once maybe viewed in this industry as a nice to have, or, a best practice. But now we're starting to see those types, what we would call a soft inquiry here at the Bureau, actually outpacing a traditional credit pull. So that means that, like for credit cards, for example, we at the Bureau saw more pre-qualification calls to our data than we did like hard paper applications for credit. So it's really become table stakes. So the more and more we can help identify those opportunities, and there's a lot of great partners out there. Credit unions don't need to do this themselves. I think like Rate Reset's a good example of someone who's doing this in market today, allowing credit unions to kind of have that fintech look and feel to their website and give those consumers the same experience that they'd see, with the larger banks or fintechs in the world.
Such good advice for credit unions, and great data that you're sharing on some of these like soft pulls versus hard pulls. I'm curious, from your perspective at TransUnion, can you point to one thing that credit unions maybe are doing really well right now? And is there anything that you would say would be maybe an area for improvement?
Yeah, so I put this report together every quarter, and I'm always excited when I have good news to share with credit unions, and there was some really good news for credit unions in this report. They were the only lender type, so that includes like national banks, regional, community banks, and fintechs. They're the only lender type to see balance growth across every product.
Wow.
So that's really powerful, and that shows that the credit unions are doing a good job of getting their products, and people feel confident and trust credit unions to take out loans. I think where they could maybe improve a little bit is we actually have a view in the report that shows credit unions are actually just as conservative as national banks when it comes to the types of consumers they serve. And I know if I talk to a lot of the leaders of the credit union space, they would be surprised to hear that. We've worked for credit unions that have brand promises around serving the underserved. But when you look right now, the community banks and the fintechs have maybe half of their loans. For the community bank, for example, half of their loans go to consumers who are a prime credit score or below. Credit unions only have a third. So there's a big gap there. And I think it just speaks to the opportunity credit unions have to kind of live up to their mission and their mantra, and lend a little bit deeper. And there's ways to do that without taking on a bunch of risk or putting your entire credit union portfolio in jeopardy. I think the fintechs have done a really good job of using some additional data to say, hey, this person doesn't have a traditional credit score because they've never used traditional banking products before, but we can see that they pay their utilities on time, or they've paid their rent all time through what we would call alternative data. So maybe we can say yes to this person and be their first loan. That just feels very credit union to me. But again, when we look at the numbers, it's just not happening on aggregate. There certainly are credit unions utilizing those tools and do it, but would love to see, for the next report, credit unions take a big jump towards serving those consumers who right now are kind of feeling the pinch. I think credit unions have always kind of stepped up in tough economic times, and so I hope they can continue to do so, and we're happy to help folks who have questions on how to do that.
Absolutely. Well, some really great words of advice and encouragement for credit unions out there. Thanks so much for sharing all of these different trends and data points for credit unions. I think it's really, really fascinating stuff. I have just my final bonus question for you today, which is just, do you have any final thoughts for our audience or final asks of our listeners?
Yeah, so we publish this report each and every quarter, and please reach out to me if you'd like someone from TransUnion to go through the report with you. Like I said, we kind of compare credit unions to those other lender types and can really dive into all the different products and data that we have to give you a better sense of where your credit union is performing versus the market. So don't think that we're just someone who publishes a report and says good luck. We'd love to go through it with you and try to think some examples on how to improve.
Absolutely. Well, what a perfect way to wrap up the conversation. We are going to link to Blake's contact information for him and his team at TransUnion in the post here. So anybody who wants to get some more information or reach out can easily connect. Blake, thank you so much for taking some time to share all of this really interesting information with us today. I'm so excited, looking forward to the next time we get to do this. And in the meantime, I hope you stay safe and well, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Lauren. Sounds good. See you.